Hey fellas, this is Robbie speaking, and I cannot believe this show is over. It seems like only yesterday this show first started off, and I've done videos in the past. If you guys have seen those, you guys know that I love this series. I don't care what other people say. Some people just don't like this series because they say it's a bit childish. They say it's just doesn't live up to some of the other Star Wars content. But personally, I think this is better than some of the other Star Wars content we have gotten over the past few years. I think it's better than Mandalorian Season 3. In fact, I think it's better than The Mandalorian overall. It's like, no offense to The Mandalorian. Like, the first two seasons were great. Third season, nah. I think it's better than the Book of Boba Fett. I think it's better than the Obi-Wan show. I think it's even better than the Ahsoka series. I don't know what it is about this show. I mean, maybe Dave Filoni just put a bit more time into this show and just worked less on the Mandoverse, maybe. I don't really know, for that matter, but either way, though, Bad Batch just has so many great things. Just the show overall. But the third season, the final season, this recent season, man, every episode in that season was just amazing. Maybe there were some episodes that kind of stalled the story, but it wasn't filler. It added more to like what was going to happen at the very end of the show. And so I just don't know like what their next animated series is going to be. Some people say it's going to be the Clone Rebellion. Some people say it's going to be just another Clone Wars spin-off or whatever. But personally, I would prefer if it was something different. Yes, I know, like, I do love the clones, don't get me wrong. But I feel like what would be the point of giving Rex his own spin-off when he's already been in the Clone Wars, like a huge part in the Clone Wars. He's been playing a recurring role in the Bad Batch, so I feel like him getting his own show wouldn't really make too much sense. I just don't think we really need to see a show about the clones and in the early stages of the Empire anymore. I feel like we're pretty much past that point and that they should work on some other ideas. I mean, Star Wars Visions, for example. Star Wars Visions, like, they have so many opportunity that they could do with that. Like, there's just so much potential. Like, I've talked about before, where I feel like Star Wars Visions, like the shorts, could be canon and could be pilots, like backdoor pilots to a spin-off series. Like with the Spy Dancer, I think that'd be a really, really good series, but I don't want to get off track with the Bad Batch, so this third season is about Omega. I mean, it's pretty much always about Omega. She escapes the prison on Tantiss along with Crosshair, and together they reunite with the Bad Batch, and so they go on more adventures together, try to track down the base of Tantiss, because apparently Tantiss is a very hard planet to find. And so later, Omega gets captured again, and then the Bad Batch has to go rescue her. And so this leads into a really, really big climax. Like, the stakes are getting higher and higher for the Bad Batch. I mean, we already saw like what happened with Tech, and a lot of people were theorizing that Tech survived and that he was that CX clone trooper. I mean, I don't really remember the number to that clone, but people were really hoping that it was Tech. And to be honest with you, I'm glad it wasn't. And people are still theorizing about that to this day, though, because they didn't see his face or whatever. And I'm just like, why do we need every masked character, like every masked mystery character, to be a character that we already know? Like, why can't it just be just some character that we've never seen before? I mean, I remember back in the Ahsoka show, people are hoping that Merrick, that Inquisitor guy, was going to be Ezra. Guess what? It wasn't Ezra. So that's why I don't give my hopes on a mystery character being a character that we already know, because that just ruins the experience for me. Though these CX clones, though, they are frightening as hell. They even cut off Crosshair's hand. I was just like, and just because you don't see his hand getting cut off, like, just that shot of them about to do it, and then the screen just transitions to something else, that's just scary enough. When you see the Empire becomes scarier and scarier and scarier. And not just with, like, when you see your first Star Destroyer in this show, but that was really cool, though, by the way. That was just showing us how they're slowly transitioning into becoming the Empire. But when you see stuff like where they're experimenting on clones, and children, for that matter, that's when you start to root for the rebellion even more. Just in the later Star Wars content, when you're just like, yep, the rebellion had to take down the Empire. Another thing that I loved about this season was redemption with Crosshair. Crosshair, I mean, I don't know if he's my favorite character in this show, but he's handled so perfectly. He slowly gains back the trust of Hunter, Wrecker, and Echo. I mean, of course he was going to win the trust of Omega, even when he wasn't trying to. I thought that was pretty funny, but at the same time, you know, Omega has a soft spot for people like Crosshair because she saw that there was a little bit of something in Crosshair. These two just working together, and just the chemistry that comes between those two characters, that's when you feel like that there's hope for Crosshair, that he can actually change. He's just like Agent Kallus from Star Wars Rebels. Agent Kallus, I mean, he may not have been the most evil person in the Empire, but he did do some evil things, but he came to terms with it. And so that's what happened with Crosshair. And usually characters who start off evil but then become good, usually they make the ultimate sacrifice. But no, I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that with Crosshair, because it's been overdone so many times with Darth Vader, with Kylo Ren. And so I'm also glad they didn't do that with Asajj Ventress, which I'll get into in a moment. But Crosshair, though, he deserves this. He deserves his happy ending with his brothers, with Omega, just to relax and finally just live a life of peace. They definitely didn't redeem characters like Rampart. Some people thought that Rampart was going to be redeemed as well, but no, Rampart is a snake, and I just loved him for that when he was forced to team up with the Bad Batch. You know, when he's just jumping out of that shuttle with them and he's screaming. That scream, though. It's like he became the comic relief of this series. I mean, usually Wrecker is the comic relief, but I laughed harder with Rampart and that scream. I also love it when he tried to collect the data from Nala Se, just so he can use it as a bargaining chip for the Empire. Maybe he was going to go back into the ranks of the Empire, but I don't think that would have worked well either. So I think this is a more fitting end for him, just where Nala Se just sets off a bomb and he blows up in it just before he can like scream louder and stuff. I loved that scene. It reminds me of in Breaking Bad season 4 with I don't want to give away spoilers, but it's like the season 4 finale. And if you've seen that, you know what I'm talking about. Another thing about this season was that we didn't see Sid, but we heard about her from the CX clone when he says that he interrogated the lizard. I mean, who else could it be? But that was pretty cool, though, that even though we didn't see Sid, we were updated on her. Though, was she killed? Like, did the CX clone kill Sid? Or is she still around, but, like, might be missing an eye or a hand for that matter? Who knows? But either way, Sid not being redeemed in this series is something that I was not expecting, because I thought maybe there's going to be an episode where Sid was going to team up with the Bad Batch again, and the Batch wasn't going to trust her. Like, they're just going to be distrusting towards her, but then she gains their trust again, and then they forgive each other and all that. I thought that was going to happen, because that's usually the case with shows like the Bad Batch. But nope, they don't make up with her at all. The Bad Batch probably hates her to this day. We also saw a lot of familiar characters in this series, but only for like small appearances. Like we saw Wolf, which the only thing about Wolf that I was kind of disappointed about was that we didn't get to see him resign from the Empire just to join Rex in the Clone Rebellion. I thought that would have been something we should have seen, but maybe Dave Filoni and them were just like, they already know what's going to happen with Wolf, so maybe we shouldn't bother. We also saw Cad Bane, which I loved seeing Cad Bane again, though two things that I have to complain about. One, we only saw him just to get a baby to the Empire. So he had like probably like 5-10 minutes of screen time. And so I just want more of that character in this series, especially with that trailer. If you're going to show Cad Bane in a trailer, give him a big part. Come on. And another thing with Cad Bane was when he just put that gun on stun. I mean, it might be nitpicking what I'm saying, but when he uses the stun for that mother of the infant, I was just like, come on, he wouldn't do that. He would just shoot the mother. I mean, sure, that's something that would just scar us, but hey, that's who Cad Bane is. That's what he did in the Clone Wars. Like, he was just a vile person who would do whatever it takes to get money, even if it meant killing. I know people say that bounty hunters are anti-heroes, but Cad Bane was a villain. Like, he just did so many evil things, so him, just him shooting the mother would fit his character so well. And I also love seeing Asajj Ventress, another character that I wish we got more of, and I think, if I remember correctly, the people at Lucasfilm said that they'll do more of Ventress, so I'm happy about that, but I want more of her in this season. Though that one episode with her, when she's interacting with Omega, that was really cool. I love seeing the bond that they had for each other, and I love seeing how Ventress has changed throughout the Clone Wars into who she is in the Bad Batch. And I know people are just really, really pissy about how she survived her death. And personally, I'm not, because I kind of like that she came back on screen. Though it makes sense that maybe Ventress would take too much screen time from the Batch because this is their show, not hers. Maybe she'll get her own show, maybe that'll be the next spinoff, who knows. But either way, it's just hard for me to look back at where she was in the Clone Wars movie when she was just this evil person killing clones and all that, to who she is as a mentor figure to Omega, and just her just being wise, because the old Ventress would have killed the Batch for sure, but she's changed. I mean, I remember back in the Clone Wars Season 5 when she teams up with Ahsoka, she doesn't kill a single clone, she just knocks them all out, and then she says to Ahsoka, "It's the new me." I also love seeing Echo in the finale of this season. Even though we didn't really see him a whole lot, he was just doing the rebellion thing with Rex. Like, I still loved how he was sneaking around. Like, he was like the only one that didn't get captured. He like disguised himself as a stormtrooper. He gets like a droid's hand, and then he's like sneaking around the base, just trying to find Omega, and it was like a spy movie when I was watching Echo doing all this stuff. You actually see clones get stabbed. Like, one of the CX clones actually stabbed one of the clone inmates. And then Hunter later, when he tries to stun one of the CX clones, like, it doesn't work. So he like throws a staff at the CX clone. And that's another thing though too. Like, I don't think the Bad Batch has ever killed a single clone. So when they do that, it's like they just broke that code. I also love the final showdown when Hunter and Crosshair are trying to rescue Omega from Hemlock, where Hemlock has a gun to Omega's head, and he's like just making all these threats like, "I'm gonna go down the edge with her," because he's just so desperate to like figure something out when he's just running out of ideas, because he was just so overconfident throughout the entirety of this season. In fact, throughout the entirety of the show. I think he appeared like almost halfway through season 2, or maybe a little after. It was something like that though, but he's always been an overconfident person, that he was just indispensable. They come up with this strategy where Crosshair is just gonna shoot with just one hand. Like he and Hunter work together. They shoot the cuffs, like the metal part between Hemlock and Omega, and then they shoot Hemlock like 4 times. I think it was 4 times, and then he like goes down the edge. I found that scene just as intense as a lightsaber duel. And I also loved how violent this got. I feel like this is like the only time where the Bad Batch did get really, really violent. And so we have the flash forward scene where Omega is older. She is going to join the Rebel Alliance to become a pilot. And I don't know if this takes place during Star Wars Rebels or if it takes place during the original trilogy, but clearly the Rebel Alliance is around the time and they're going up against the Empire, and so Hunter's like, we need to keep you safe. You're our kid. And so Omega's like, I'm not a kid anymore. The rest of the Bad Batch, Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair. I mean, yeah, we didn't see Wrecker and Crosshair as older people, but it's nice to know they're still around. You know, they were just trying to live a life of peace. Like, that was what this show was about. That was their goal. They weren't trying to stop the Empire. They weren't trying to fight the war or anything like that. They just wanted to live a life of peace because they already fought a war. They were just like, you know, it's time for us to relax and just hang up the white flags and all that. Omega, on the other hand, you know, she still has the energy to fight the Empire. She's not done with the Empire yet, and so there probably will be Star Wars projects where we'll see Omega again. I don't know if she'll ever learn the Force like Ventress tried to get her to do, but who knows? A lot of people thought that the Batch was gonna die, similar to Rogue One, but you wanna know something? I'm glad those theories did not come true. But I'm still sad that the show is over. I would have liked one more season of this show. I felt like it ended a little too soon. It's not my #1 favorite Star Wars show. It's nowhere close to that. I mean, if I were to come up with like some of my favorite Star Wars shows right now, it would be The Clone Wars, Rebels, and Andor. And Star Wars Visions is up there too. Even though it may not be considered canon, it's just really good. And I've already talked about how it has potential. And I think Bad Batch is right behind there. Like, maybe top 5 for that matter. But I'm going to end the video right here, guys. What did you think of this season? Or what did you think of The Bad Batch as a series overall? Did you like this series? Did you not like it? And if you are new to this channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the like button as well. And thank you for watching. I'm Rob A, and may the Anime Force be with you.